Let's start with the most important thing about grips. Most of your grips should be nice and loose. You should not hold a very tight grip on your handle. This is where everything starts going wrong. If you employ a tight grip on the handle and you don't transition. So transitions are where you go from one grip into another grip. And usually that will be from a hook grip into a loose grip. That's where you insert your hand. I'm going to cover that during this course. So this is a loose grip and a hook grip. So I am not squeezing the bell. It's just placed in my fingers, which are curled like this, like a hook. And you place the bell in there. The handle is placed within the fingers. A tight grip is where you close it and you're squeezing it the whole time. So especially with swings, you see people holding on really tight to the kettlebell, and this produces a lot of issues. If the kettlebell moves, it creates friction. So there is a possibility that it will rip the skin eventually. First it will create blisters, then it can tear it open, and you'll end up with an injury. You don't want that. So make sure that you employ a loose grip and focus on transitioning your grips from one to the next, bypassing your hand right here. We'll get into that once we get to the hook grip and the loose grip. So another important thing with grips is, and your kettlebell, is that the handle needs to be smooth. So if you have a handle that's full of rust or it's got other little uneven bits, it will tear your hands open as well. So make sure that your handles are nice and smooth right here. So you need to maintain your handles. Grab a fine piece of sandpaper and then sand your handle down if it's full of rust, or if there are other pits or uneven bits on your kettlebell, you can sand it down. I maintain my kettlebell very often. Every week I sand it down. A kettlebell is good when it's damaged. It's got character. So a kettlebell does not need to remain brand new and shiny. This is a kettlebell that has been everywhere, and that's what it's about. And as long as that kettlebell is smooth here, everywhere, there is nothing wrong with a kettlebell that looks like it's used. It's got character. When you employ a grip on a kettlebell, you want it to be just tight enough so that you don't lose grip, so the kettlebell doesn't fall out of your hand. But you don't want to burn out your muscles. So you will burn out your muscles if you got a tight grip the whole time. You'll get issues here in your forearms. So if you're doing lots of swings when you first start as a kettlebell beginner and you're maintaining a tight grip, you'll probably start getting issues here. And those muscles, they end somewhere around the elbow, and they can also inflame and eventually produce tendonitis. So look at your grip if you're just getting started with kettlebells and you know you've been employing a tight grip. So blisters can occur when there's friction in the hands or when the skin is folded and the kettlebell is moving as well. Another thing to talk about is calluses. Calluses are quite normal. You will develop some form of calluses with kettlebell training because you're holding on to an object and there's movement within your grip. So there will always be some form of calluses that will be developed. You cannot completely avoid it. And calluses is okay as long as you maintain it. So you can maintain your hands and you got to file them down. If you don't, then they will become very thick and they will rip. So make sure that you maintain your hands regularly as well. Do not work out with gloves. If you work out with gloves, you will miss out on a lot of things. Your technique will not improve. It's more important to work out without gloves and feel that kettlebell. So another thing that happens is if you got gloves, your grip will be a lot tighter on that kettlebell. Without gloves, you're just getting a better connection between you and the kettlebell, and you need to learn the proper technique. The proper technique is what you want to learn. So don't go down the path of using gloves. Gloves are okay once you're getting into kettlebell competition and you need to do a high rep set right before you comp and you don't want to mess your hands up. Then it's perfectly fine. You already have the technique. So that's a different case. So because kettlebell swings are very popular, as it's a very common move, and rightfully so, it's great for cardio, great for strength as well, and great for flexibility. But there is a part where people get issues, and that's at the back of the back swing, and that kettlebell bobs. Bobbing is a short, abrupt, jerky movement of the kettlebell within the hands. So that handle moves within the hand and then you get friction. So on many reps you start getting calluses or ripping your hands and blisters, etc. So one of the things you need to look at is inserting the weight and directing the weight and making sure that that kettlebell remains a direct extension of your arm. I won't go into too much details as this is a course about grips and there is a whole course about kettlebell swings. But it's called bobbing and you need to avoid that. So that jerky movement at the end of your swing.